Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, and we're going Championship today. Championship predictions for Week 21. We're going to start with West Brom versus Sheffield United tonight, because West Brom in 16th, Sheffield United in 17th. We couldn't have it more different, could we? West Brom just holding their own, I think, and just staying roughly in the same position. Sheffield United rocketing up, aren't they? We've got West Brom with win, lose, draw, win, lose, lose. That last game, wasn't it? Southampton 3, West Brom 2. Realistically, after they got, I think that West Brom team really didn't step it up until the last sort of 20 minutes, did it really? 20, 30 minutes. And managed to pull it back to 3-2. However, really, was it? It was really a one-sided game. West Brom would have been kicking themselves here that they didn't win this one. And Southampton will have been going away thinking, how the hell did we win that one? But, you know, things have been turning for Southampton, and look at the green and all that. And, yeah, they managed to win it. Like I say, West Brom a little bit disappointed there, if not quite a bit disappointed. Sheffield United, draw, win, 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 draw. But it was a last draw. It was the Sheffield United one, Norwich one that was really surprising. And indeed, an own goal that gave Norwich the equaliser on 65 minutes. Yeah, a bit of pressure, a bit of confusion, and that's what happens, isn't it? The game was actually probably a good 1-1, to be quite honest. Probably was the right score. Actually, if you really look at it, 2-2 probably would have been the right score here. Plenty of chances, plenty of attacking, pretty good game all in all. Which is a surprise, because I've not been saying that about Norwich for quite a while, and yet in the last few games we've been seeing just a little bit of a change from Norwich, playing just a little bit better. Look, they've got some good players in there, and I've been saying, haven't I? They're not going to stay down there. They didn't last time they were at the bottom until Christmas. Looks like they're going to be the same again, near the bottom till Christmas. But, you know, last time, bang, Christmas Day, and up they went to about, I think finished over just above 10th place. So what are you thinking here? Because this Sheffield United side perhaps should have done a little bit better against this Norwich side at home, especially when they've been playing so well. But they're playing a West Brom side that have lost 2 and should really have won that one against Southampton. So it's quite difficult, I think. West Brom, Sheffield United, you're saying 2-2, 2-2, 2-0 and 2-1. I think that Sheffield United side is really good. Are we going to say that's a blip or not? I'll go with the majority of you, I think, and we'll go West Brom 2, Sheffield United 2, and we'll move on to Saturday's games, which will just take a sec to go into Saturday's games. And 12:30 game here, Norwich versus Southampton. Hey, we were just talking about Norwich, Southampton, and Southampton. Norwich, Sheffield United last time out, wasn't it? So lose, lose, draw, win, lose, draw. What an eclectic mix for Norwich. Again, like I say, it was the Sheffield United 1, Norwich 1 game here, and both actually did really well. Probably 2-2 would be a good game. They were actually really good. It was a really good game. Good passing, good control, good ball control, good tackling, good possession. It was really good. I enjoyed the game. Let's say a draw was right, probably 2-2. But this Norwich side is starting to just show a little bit of verve now for me. Southampton, win, 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 lose, win, win. And the last time out, a 3-2 home win to West Brom. Like we said, though, West Brom only really coming into this one for me in those last sort of 20, 30 minutes. Southampton will have been feeling really lucky they won this one. 8 shots, 4 on target, 3 in the net. great up front clinicality, absolutely, but they allow West Brom to have 18 shots, 7 on target, 2 in the net. At the end of the day, it was just the precision that got Southampton the win at home there. And it does show that they are willing to do just enough to win the games, which absolutely is fine. You know, if that's what you're trying to do, that's what you're trying to do. Norwich versus Southampton, then what are you thinking? I think Southampton just have it for me, but Norwich are getting better, aren't they? 2-1, 1-3, 0-3 and 1-2. Well, you're most of you going for Southampton, and I would probably say, I think although Norwich are improving, I think I'm going to prefer to stick on the side of Southampton. None of you are saying a draw. I might have gone for a draw. And in the back of my mind, I am thinking that this could be a draw. Norwich are pretty much scoring every game. I can't see it being a nil. It's just a case of how many will Southampton score. They are scoring quite well because of their precision. I'm going to go with Norwich 1, Southampton 3. I move on to the next game, which is Oxford versus Preston. Oxford are in 21st, Preston are in 5th, and Oxford now just getting out of that bottom 3 thanks to a really poor run by Portsmouth here. Preston managed to stay up with them even though they started losing points, but now they're starting to get back to full strength again. And that doesn't bode well, I think, for the Oxford team. This Preston side has started doing quite well. For Oxford, it's lose, draw, draw, win, lose, draw. Yeah, they are getting points, though. They are getting points, which is testimony to how they've come out of those bottom 3 and stayed there. They last played Blackburn. Blackburn won, Oxford won there. It was pretty one-sided, this, to be quite honest. Blackburn really kept the ball well. They basically stopped Oxford for getting a clear shot on goal. I don't think they had any clear shots on goal at all throughout the entire game, but they did manage to get one on target. And Oxford really, they will feel lucky they got a draw here, because they were really outplayed for me for the majority of that game. Preston North End, like I say, they've had a few injuries and a few just tired legs, I think. For me, I asked whether they were coming out of it. My Preston subscribers have said, yep, they are just coming out of it. They are getting a full fit first squad here. Try saying that when you've had a drink. So Preston, draw, lose, draw, win, draw, draw. The last 2 draws though, Wrexham at home 1-1, and Wrexham are very hard to beat, aren't they? If they're not going to win it, they try and draw it, and they did that. And Coventry won 1 last time out, and actually, you know, Preston won, Coventry won, and Preston had 9 men, of course, and they equalised on 76 minutes, and that was it. You know, so I think here we what we saw was a very dogged, determined Preston North End. That defence was being really well pushed, wasn't it? It was a good job that Coventry front line just couldn't get as many shots on target, clear-cut chances as they really wanted to. This Preston North End defence did a bloody good job of making sure if they were going to be battered at the back end, they were certainly not going to let too many of those 21 shots by Coventry be on target. In fact, just 5. And really, they only had 2 or 3 clear-cut chances. So they managed to stop Coventry pretty damn well at that back end. And we know that they can score, Preston. So this is going to be an interesting one. What are you thinking about Oxford Preston? 1-2, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. The question here is, do I go with Preston just nicking this one? And I'm going to go with Oxford 1. And because I've got a good set of knowledge from my Preston subscribers, Preston 2. And I'm going to go with my Preston subscribers there. as we go to the next game, which is Stoke versus Swansea. So Stoke versus Swansea. Let's see where they are in the table. Stoke in 8th, Swansea in 18th. What I'd say about Stoke is that they go for it, and they're either going to win it or lose it on the majority of occasions. And it shows you in the last 6, doesn't it? Lose, lose, win, lose, lose, lose. But this Stoke side, they've got the best goalkeeper in the division. Absolutely, and statistically he is as well. So it's not just bias from me being a Rotherham fan where he came from. That last game, last 2 games, we'll say, Sheffield United defeat 4-0. They happened to play the wrong team at the wrong time, didn't they? But the last game, Ipswich won, Stoke 0, and they got that Philogene Bidace 2nd-minute goal for Ipswich, and that was it. That was the winner. Ipswich really they did well with the ball. They really controlled this game. They made sure that Stoke only had 1 shot on target, and they themselves had 16 shots, 6 on target. So they would have been quite happy with that, and 1 goal and a win. They possibly would have expected a 2-0 win from that, but they reduced Stoke, even though Stoke kept the ball more and passed it around more in their own half. Not quite getting it over the line into the final third, or hardly ever really. 1 shot on target in the entire game for Stoke City, and that's testimony to Stoke City's really good defence here, and they can have a really excellent front. So that's going to be interesting when we look at them, isn't it? Swansea City lose, win. A win against Oxford 2-0 at home, and then a home win against Portsmouth 1-0. Portsmouth haven't been doing well. They've got nobody really to put it in the back of the net, but look, Portsmouth weren't so far behind. They weren't so far behind. It was quite an easy, even game, to be quite honest. Not so many shots. Probably it was 2-1 shots for it. I mean, 6 shots on target for Swansea, 3 for Portsmouth. That's about all you can say with this game. I found it quite boring. A few Portsmouth games I found quite boring, and it was strange because Swansea can really put them in the net if it's a nice exciting game. Portsmouth pulled this into a rather dull game, I'm afraid, and Swansea didn't control the style of the game, but they won it, and that's all that matters. Stoke City versus Swansea, then what are you saying? 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2-1, 2-1, and we've got Swansea. They've not let one in the last 2, which is quite interesting for Swansea. But Stoke City are very, very good up front, or can be good up front, and they really are good at the back end. Can I see Swansea scoring? No. Can I see Stoke scoring is the important thing. Those last 2 games were away. They did score at home the time before. I'll go with the majority here. Stoke City 2, Swansea 0. I just think that Swansea won't score. There we go to Birmingham versus Charlton, and we go to the table there. Birmingham in 11th, Charlton in 19th, and we have 2 teams that are just sitting 5 points away from each other at the minute. Charlton just starting now to drop back down again. They did so well. They got up into that top half, and they were looking like they might stay there. And just needed the odd occasional win, but they haven't been getting it. Birmingham lose, win, draw, win, lose against Southampton, but they started to really do well, haven't they? 3-1, and then an away defeat to QPR. QPR 2, Birmingham 1, and even that goal was 90 plus 3. That equalised, by the way, QPR winning it on 90+6. So Birmingham would have been feeling absolutely distraught. They weren't in this game at all. Take them on the break, get that goal, equalise, and they're thinking, we're 90+3, surely we've drawn this one, surely we've got a point. But QPR were well in control of this, but their shots just weren't on. 16 shots to QPR, only 3 of them on target, but 2 in the net. They would have hoped for more on target, and probably QPR would have thought to have put this to bed well before that 90+6 minute. So Charlton win, lose. But you've got to look at this. In fact, you look at all those 5 defeats. Wrexham 1-0, Southampton 5-1, Stoke City away 3-0, Coventry away 3-1, and Middlesbrough at home 2-1. Well, look, it's just a look of the draw, isn't it? Or in this case, the unlook of the draw. Charlton 1, Borough 2. It's runs like this that really get in your head, though, aren't they? Yes, they were. It's a difficult run. Absolutely, I totally agree with the fans there. Charlton really tried to keep in this game, but Borough just have that little bit more style and class. A consolation goal on 81 minutes, own goal as well for Charlton. Usually they're very clinical at home, passing wise. Charlton, they weren't in this game. It was quite a poor game for passing for Charlton, and it seems to be getting into the head, this little bit of a losing run. 5 defeats there. They probably would have expected more than a 1-0 defeat, better than 1-0 defeat away at Wrexham. But those last 4, Southampton, Stoke, Coventry and Borough, were always going to be difficult for a side coming up from League One. Can they do it next time? I don't know. Let's have a look as we go to Birmingham versus Charlton. And what are you thinking, Birmingham versus Charlton? For me, Birmingham just have the edge. 3-0, 3-1, 1-2 and 3-0. So somebody does actually think Charlton have a chance here. But Birmingham can be really strong at home. They really, really can. Those last 2 defeats for Birmingham were actually away from home. So they have, in fact, the last 3 defeats have been away from home. So yeah, they have been recently better at home. So I'm going to go with a Birmingham win, like you say. What are you saying for Birmingham? Wins 3-1, 3-1 and 3-0. Do I think that Charlton will score? They have this knack of just getting in there, don't they? Birmingham 3, Charlton 1. So let's go to Coventry versus Bristol City, shall we? Of course, Coventry, we know where Coventry are. They're absolutely running away with it in first position. Bristol City not too far away. Bristol City in 10th, and I say not too far away position wise, they're not, but 14 points behind Coventry. But we can sort of write Coventry off as being winners, can't we, at the minute, I think, barring any disaster. So Coventry City win, lose, draw. Wow, they've actually not won either of their last 2 games. An Ipswich defeat 3-0 away from home, and a Preston draw 1-1 away from home. They're at home though this time, and I tell you what, that crowd and that crowd, that atmosphere, that's an extra man on its own. 10-man Preston 1, Coventry 1 last time out, and we've already been through this. Realistically, Coventry did run this one very, very well. Just allowed Preston to get a clear shot on goal, and they put it in the net. I mean, it's as simple as that. Preston down with 10 men on 39 minutes, so yeah, it's one of those things that you can't count for, isn't it? It's football, isn't it? Bristol City draw, win, lose, draw. Last time out, a very, very good 2-2 draw, I thought. Leicester City went 2-0 up immediately after the break, Bristol City came back 2-1 and then equalised on from Emile Rees on 83 minutes there. But this Bristol City 2, Leicester 2, and Bristol City for me were actually on top for most of this game, and their passing was stupendous, absolutely stupendous. Their ball control stupendous. Their possession was really good as well. This Leicester City side, though, you give them 1 or 2 shots, clear sights on goal. In this case, 5, and they score 2. And that's what they've been doing. You really can't afford to give this Leicester side any sight on goal, because if you do, they score. So Bristol City will have been thinking, we thought we'd done enough to win this one, really, and especially when they that. But they ended up coming from behind. They ended up coming from behind 2-0 down to 2-2. And realistically, that should never have been the position when you look at the actual game. So swings and roundabouts on that one, I think. So Coventry, Bristol City, what are you thinking? Both have had a defeat followed by a draw in the last 2 games as well. It's really interesting, this one. Coventry, Bristol City 1-1, 3-0, 2-1, 2-1. I'm actually going to go there. I'm actually going to sit on the fence. Coventry 1, Bristol City 1. I really can't see which one is going to turn up. It's probably going to be 2-1. I can't say which direction that is, though. So it's not really as easy as you think, is it? As we go to Leicester, or Leicester, as they say locally. So Leicester versus Ipswich. And this is a battle royale, because both of these teams, give them a sight on goal now, and it's deadly. They can they can do so well with their conversion ratios. Both of these teams suddenly started firing on all cylinders. Don't need to give them any shots. A few shots, and they'll get most of them in the net. Ipswich 4th and Leicester in 13th, but Leicester are, like I said, I think Leicester have really started to perform some really good, refined frontline acts. Backline can be a little bit iffy sometimes still, but on the whole, this Leicester side for me is improving. But so is Ipswich, like I said. Leicester, win, lose, win, draw. A win away, you get Derby County 3-1, followed by a Bristol City 2, Leicester 2, which we've obviously just been into. And Leicester really going into that lead and then probably thinking that they'd done enough. I mean, they're such a good front line in this game, and yet they let Bristol City in, didn't they? Mainly because of the number of shots that they were allowed to have and the number of shots they were allowed to have on target, remember. So that back line for me was just allowing Bristol City far too many times in that second half. Ipswich then, draw, win, lose, draw, win. Last time out, 1-0 win at home to Stoke City. Second minute goal from Bidace, Philogene Bidace, and that's where it stood for me. This was a pretty one-way street, if you like, as far as shots, which was all from Ipswich. This wasn't actually the Ipswich that I'm used to. 16 shots, only 6 on target. But it's this ratio: 6 on target, 1 in the net. This isn't Ipswich. This wasn't Ipswich. Stoke, but you see, Stoke are very good at the back. They're very good in defence. That's why Ipswich didn't get what they usually get, which is all those shots. 6 shots and 4 in the net. That's what I would have expected. But we know that Stoke City's back line is bloody good. So breaking it is very difficult. So that, in second thoughts, is actually really, really good. A really good score there. So Leicester City versus Ipswich. What are you thinking? 2-1, 2-1, 2-2 and 2-2. So you're thinking This could be and I actually agree with the majority of you and go straight in with it. Leicester 2, Ipswich 2. This, I think they're both very, very good at the minute, and I think both of them will score a couple because they only need a little sight on goal and they will be getting it in the net. I mean, it could even be 3-3 for heaven's sake, couldn't it? As we go to Borough versus QPR now, and Borough QPR. If we look at the table first, Borough in second, even though they've been losing points, still up there in second with 39 points. Coventry ahead of them, of course, on 44, and QPR in seventh on 31. The top end is less level, the rest of it is really, really level. Borough win, draw, lose, win, win, win. Interestingly, that Coventry game, they lost it at home. Borough 2, Coventry 4. I thought that was going to be a draw, to be quite honest. I thought that Borough would be able to hold them. Coventry started to stutter a little bit, but Coventry came out with a win. Last time out, though, Borough against Charlton. Charlton 1, Borough 2. They were 2-0 up until 81 minutes and they gave an own goal away. Borough really did. It was a pretty level game. If I really want to be honest with it was a level-ish game. Okay, Borough did a lot of ball control, a lot of possession, a huge amount of possession, 62% possession to Borough. However, 13 shots, 7 of them on target, 2 in the net. With great passing, the amount of 1, 2, 3 passes were brilliant. I would have expected more of those 13, more of those 7 shots in the net. If you're going to be in that top 2, you really need to be doing it like Ipswich and Leicester are capable of doing, which is 7 shots and 3 or 4 in the net. But here, it just shows how they're playing. Let's get as many as on at target as we can, as many on target of those as we can, and hopefully, 1 or 2 of them go in the net. And it worked. 2-1 win against Charlton. QPR, draw, win, win, lose, win, win. Doing really well, aren't they? They're really starting to put some pressure on that top end because the top end are losing points, as we've seen with Borough there. QPR 2, Birmingham 1. Birmingham coming back with that equaliser on 90+3, and QPR 90+6 minute winner. What a way to win it. QPR would have been going on. They should have been in the lead a lot way before that, shouldn't they? I mean, basically, they should have put this away well before. 16 shots for their 38% possession for QPR. 3 of them on target. How bad is that? 3 of them on target, 2 in the net. Ouch! That's why. That's the difference between being in the middle and being at the top. Being able to have a few shots and make most of them get in the net. A few shots on target, most of them in the net. So QPR really are starting to do what they need to do to win these games and never give up. But they're both doing really well in the last 2 or 3 games. So it's going to be hard, this one, QPR away at Borough. What are you thinking, Borough, QPR? 0-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. You can never write Borough off at home 3 in a row. It's going to be bloody close, I think. I think it's going to be close. I was going to go for a 2-2. Because I can see both of these teams scoring. If it's going to be both teams scoring and I choose one of yours, I'm going to go Borough 2, QPR 1. If I don't sit on the fence, let's go for that one. What's next? It's Millwall versus Hull City. A lot of you thinking there's going to be goals in this one. Millwall 3rd, Hull City 6th. And at the minute, the Hull City squad hasn't got a huge amount of depth. Let's face it, they did have that embargo, but they've done so well with it, so well. Millwall then, draw, lose, win, 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 draw. Last time out though, it was after the win against Bristol City, thinking, yeah, Yeah, pretty good. But here it was Derby 1, Millwall 1, both of the goals. 81st minute for Millwall, 88th minute for Derby, both of them own goals. They both scored one in each other's net. So, yeah, pretty interesting, that one. It was a 1-1 game. I mean, that's all I can say. Pretty poor passing, pretty poor ball control. I think Derby sort of pulled this game down. Millwall can do so much better passing than they did. They can do so much better ball control and possession than they did. But Derby can. They haven't been showing it of late, and they both pulled each other down in this game. Neither of them really took hold of it for me. 1-1 was probably an average mid-table performance by both of these teams, even though they're not mid-table. Before you tell me, Hull City win, lose, win, lose, win, and all of a sudden we're seeing this side just keep enough points to just stay up there in the fight, and remarkably, Hull City 2, Wrexham 0. And I've been saying Wrexham tend not to lose things. They tend to, if they're not going to win it, they'll draw. But here it wasn't the case. Wrexham had very little clear-cut chances. Hull City, bang, put a huge bus at the back. But I tell you what, it didn't mean that they didn't go up front. 19 shots in this game for Hull City, 6 on target, 2 in the net. It could have been more, could have been 3 or 4. Wrexham, 1 shot, 8 shots, 1 on target, none in the net. As simple as that. Hull City could have won this by a country mile, but they didn't. So Millwall versus Hull City. I'm impressed by this Hull City last game. It was really, really good against a team they knew was going to be difficult to break down. Because they really are, and yet they made a really good show of it. So what are you thinking, Millwall Hull? 3-2, 3-2, 2-2 and 1-1. Millwall are at home. I love Millwall at home. They have won 3 out of the last 4 games. I was going to go for a Hull City win. Let's go with that, because I think I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Millwall 2, Hull 2, because I just think that Hull could nick it. None of you are thinking about that, so I will go with you so that you don't think I'm being stupid with my predictions. Portsmouth versus Blackburn next, and this is really a make or break game for Portsmouth, isn't it? Blackburn in 20th, Portsmouth in 22nd, but there's nobody putting it in the net for Portsmouth. Nobody can put it in the net for Portsmouth, unfortunately. Portsmouth draw, lose, win, lose, and those defeats have been dreadful as far as performance. Sheffield United 3-0 defeat, Bristol City 1-0 defeat, Swansea City 1-0 defeat, and Swansea 1, Portsmouth 0. What can we say? Well, there were shots for Portsmouth, just pretty dull efforts that were never going to get in the back of the net in a country year, were they? Swansea, I mean, at the end of the day, what shows you is Swansea had 6 shots on target, 1 in the net. They could have had 2 or 3 in the net from that, to be quite honest. Portsmouth had 3 shots on target, but they weren't really very good. Pretty boring game as far as Portsmouth fans are concerned. Against Blackburn, lose, win, lose, draw. And the last 3 games, draw against Wrexham 1-1, draw against Ipswich 1-1, draw against Oxford 1-1. And Blackburn there was a penalty at that. So it's Blackburn really ran this game just about. But Oxford are really good at taking them on the break, aren't they, and having a quick shot. And sometimes they can get a good ratio of shots against shots on target. They had 1 shot, Oxford, on target, and 1 in the net. That's what I mean. They can really do take teams on the break really well. But Blackburn did. They just let them in that once, and that was it. They scored from it. Blackburn would have been bitterly disappointed. 16 shots, 5 on target, and 1 in the net, and drawing 1-1 against a team that only shot once on target. They had no answer to the taking you on the break. Portsmouth are really good at least getting a shot and taking people on the break, and that does make me worried that for Blackburn I think that Portsmouth can do the same as Oxford. Absolutely. And neither of them are. There's only 2 wins for both of these teams added together in the last 12 games. So, can we see a win at all here? Portsmouth versus Blackburn. What are you thinking? 1-3, 0-1, 1-2, and 0-0. You know something? I'm going to go Portsmouth 0, Blackburn 0. I'm moving on. Definitely moving on. Where are we moving on to? We're moving on to Wrexham. Wrexham versus Watford next. It's the last of the Saturday games, of course. What can we say? Wrexham in 14th, Watford in 12th. And it's Wrexham with win, draw, lose. That last time out, the Hull City 2, Wrexham 0. They knew they were going to have a tough time of it. Wrexham had one shot on target here because Hull City were determined not to let them take them on the break. And they can be so dogged and so... so determined, this Wrexham side. They knew it was going to be hard, but Hull actually managed to find a way around them. 19 shots, 6 on target. And Wrexham they didn't really have a way around it. They played some good football, but Hull City just played better football. Would Wrexham be disappointed in that defeat? No, I don't think so, because they were the better side, Hull City. Watford, draw, win, draw, lose, win, draw. Last time out, a pretty disappointing draw for Watford. Watford 90 plus 7 minutes equaliser against Sheffield Wednesday, and it was Watford 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Look at that game. Watford ran it. Watford really did run it, and basically Wednesday were just pegged back in their own half. Look, Wednesday didn't actually play bad football, and they did do some good passing, even though they had very little of the ball. When they had it, they actually passed it around quite well. They didn't just get it and boot it back up the other end. They actually got it and passed it around a couple of times and tried to slow the game down, which was a good thing. That's what they tried to do. And they took them on the break, and Wednesday had 1 shot on target, 1 in the net. Who cares? Clear-cut chances for Watford, a load, at least half a dozen clear-cut chances for Watford against Sheffield Wednesday's none. And yet, they got 1 of those in the net. It's just... they have been clinical up front. Don't get me wrong. Watford can score from many of those on open chances. In this game, they were just frustrated and they just couldn't do it. So we've got Wrexham versus Watford. What are you thinking for Wrexham versus Watford? 1-0, 1-1, 1-1 and 2-1. I think this Wrexham's ability to draw and Watford, how they just didn't quite hit it and they haven't really been hitting it for a while. The 2 wins in 6 have been Norwich 3-2 and Derby 3-2. So you're going to give those sort of chances to Wrexham, Watford. They're going to score from it. I'm going to go with Wrexham 1, Watford 1, and we'll move to our final game here. We'll move to our final game, which is, I believe it's on Monday. Let's have a quick look at that. So it's Sheffield Wednesday versus Derby County. We know where Sheffield Wednesday are, down at the bottom of the table there. They're in 24th on -9 points. You've got to remember, though, that they're only 26 points behind Portsmouth. If Portsmouth went on a really, really poor run, which they're looking like they very easily could do, and they could. I think that they could sort of get off that bottom quite nicely. I think Norwich will get out of the way. I think Norwich will get out of the way. Wednesday really are targeting Portsmouth and Oxford and see how close they can get to them. I think, so it's Wednesday in 24th, Derby in 15th. We go for the home team Wednesday. Draw, lose, draw. A very good, that's that Watford game again. Watford won, Sheffield Wednesday won. And Watford came, we must remember, Watford's goal was on 90 plus 7 minutes. Yeah, so although Watford had all the game, let's face it, they did have all the game, but they equalised on 90 plus 7 minutes. Wednesday actually in the lead till 90 plus 6 minutes. From their one strike on target. Yet Watford with 23 shots couldn't get that equaliser until the 90 plus 7th minute. So we do have to think about that for the Watford game we've just got, which will still stick with a 1-1, especially because of that. And they're playing a really smart side, I think. The game plan of Wednesdays was brilliant, wasn't it? Against Derby County, win, lose, draw. Last time out it was Derby County 1, Millwall 1. This is the one where both of them scored for each other. So it was 2 own goals, one each on 81 and 88 minutes. Was it a 1-1 game? Yeah, probably was. Pretty dull game, this one, to be quite honest. Lots of shots. It's just that a lot of them were either blocked or skied, and you're thinking, none of them bothered to actually place the shot. Derby County 1, Millwall 1, probably very good mid-table game, that one for me. Probably the right result. What are you thinking for Sheffield Wednesday Derby? 1-2, 2-2, 3-2 and 1-2. So you're going both ways here. And I can really see what you're talking about. And I think that this Wednesday team has started to score, but they're not shooting very often. But they're starting to score one or two of them. But I know Derby can score if they really want to. Two of you said that, so I'm going to go with the majority. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Derby 2. Please do like and subscribe. Please do. And I'll see you in the next video. Remember, join us at Sports Channel, like and subscribe.